Among the many thousands of Americans who came to the Capitol building on January 6, 2021, were an awful lot of journalists, working journalists. And they were there because, among other things, it was a news story in progress. So they went to what we call cover the story. And the overwhelming majority of them worked for various organs of state media, the Associated Press, Reuters, the New York Times, the Washington Post, NBC News. And their job was to bolster whatever the people in charge claim is true. But there were also some independent journalists there that day. One of them was called Steve Baker. He now works for The Blaze. And he was there for the same reason everyone else is there, to watch the protest play out and to cover it. And like so many reporters that day, he eventually moved with the crowd inside the Capitol building, and he did so peacefully to cover the story. We're not guessing about this. He did not show up to break windows or poke anyone with a flagpole. He was there to cover it as a journalist. And we have footage of it, of Baker in the Capitol. We're going to put it up now. You can see he's not rioting or attacking police. He's standing there watching what's happening around him, covering the story. But because Steve Baker wasn't wise enough to get a job with the Washington Post or the New York Times or any other news outlet that works for the Biden administration, the FBI singled him out, not as a reporter, which he is, but as an insurrectionist. And then they charged him with crimes for being there.
Initially had a threat of prosecution going all the way back to November of 21, when my attorney received a email from an assistant U.S. attorney out of Philadelphia in which she said, your client, meaning me, is going to be arrested or is going to be charged within the week. In August of last year, we received a grand jury subpoena. My attorney calls me back, says, all right, we've got a grand jury subpoena for your work, your actual videos that you took on January 6th. We got the notice that I was going to have to self-surrender this time, and this time it was for real. They actually said that it was only going to be for misdemeanor charges, the 4 basic misdemeanors that all the low-level January 6 offenders get. The interesting thing, Tucker, is that in the notice from the assistant U.S. attorney to my lead attorney is that they wanted me to show up at the field office, and I quote, wearing shorts, T-shirt, and flip-flops. And I knew what that meant. That meant that they were probably going to change me into the orange jumpsuit and that I would then be leg shackled, because the plan was for the FBI to process me there at the field office, put me in a car, take me downtown to the courthouse where they would hand me over to the U.S. Marshals, and then I would wait in a cell until I was marched before the magistrate in front of the whole court. Well, for 2.5 years, for 2.5 years, I didn't have to set my alarm clock, because every morning at 6 o'clock I would wake up, because I've been following these cases. I've been following these trials. I've followed hundreds of these cases. There's over 1,350 of these arrests so far, all manner of defendants for January 6th. Most of them, of course, are nonviolent. And I've been following these cases, and believe it or not, many, far, far too many to even recount, of the simple misdemeanor defendants, including other independent journalists, have been SWAT raided at their home. Some of them have been imprisoned and did nothing more than walk around in the Capitol with a big camera rig, no parading, no picketing, no chanting USA, USA, or anything else of that nature. And they did their job professionally. And when they got back home, they were SWAT raided by 20 agents with red dots on their chest and on their wife and on their children, and then hauled off, convicted, sent to prison for months. Independent journalists.